You know what I find it really interesting? Out of all these physical attributes that I've chased in my life, from learning how to shoot a basketball to, learning how to run quicker, cut quicker, to then getting into the barbell world and trying to learn how to squat, deadlift, bench press, all that stuff. You know, out of all the physical attributes that are out there, the one thing that I always struggle with in terms of just staying motivated for it has been flexibility, mobility. You know, these things, for some reason, have never been part of my life for like an extended period of time. I get excited about it. The moment I say I get excited about it. I find inspiration in certain people. So Novak Djokovic, you guys know who he is. So every year that he will come to Australia, he will be televised, obviously, on our television here, and you can watch it normal hours of the night, normal hours of the day, rather than some other Grand Slams that are like 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. So it's a big deal. Australian Open is a big deal here in Australia. When Novak Djokovic comes around, it's a double big deal for me because it's my country, where I live in. It's Novak Djokovic, he's Serbian. He comes over here, so it's like a spectacle for multiple reasons for me and my family, and everybody from Yugoslavia, I guess, watches it closely. One thing that he inspired me, like, I'm not a big tennis guy, whatever. I'm a tennis person because of him. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be watching tennis at all. But he's the one that kind of got me really early on to kind of care about tennis because he was doing so well. And side note on that, so back when I started going out, like 16, 17, 18 years old, when I first started going out to the club and the bars and whatever, Novak Djokovic was at this particular bar before he was Novak Djokovic. He just came around. I think he was doing like like one of these tournaments that lead up to Australian Open. This is like before he was anybody. And I remember seeing him. Like, I remember, a close friend of ours had a beer with him. He was like a cool guy, really cool guy. So for another reason, like, he just seemed like he was one of us. And every time he played, we always watched him, whatever. But one of the things that I drew from him and his greatness was this determination to always work. When you're at the top of your level for a long, long period of time, the top of your sport for a long period of time, it doesn't happen because you're gifted. It happens because you work hard. To maintain such a high level is very, very difficult. So he's always at the gym, kind of like, he reminds me of LeBron. LeBron's always taking care of his body. They always talk about it. He always looks freaking amazing. He's always fit. He's always all those things. But with Novak Djokovic, the thing that I feel, once again, I'm not a tennis expert by any means, but I think the reason why he's considered one of the greatest of all time, I think he is the greatest of all time, is his ability to be strong at these really vulnerable end range positions. So his sliding backhand, forehand, these defensive plays that he does, he's essentially doing splits to get to the ball. Now, a lot of people don't even have that available to them because they can't get into that split, that position, and not just get there, but also like put force into the racket and get the ball over the net. So I always found it really, really interesting. And then you kind of look into his life and listen to all the interviews, both in English and in Serbian, and you're like, damn, man, this guy spends a lot of time stretching. And so every time the Australian Open comes around, I'm there stretching in front of the TV. Djokovic had the effect on me when it comes to tennis, like Michael Jordan had the effect on me when it comes to basketball. You see Michael Jordan freaking gliding through the air and then dunking on somebody, or posting up at the elbow, doing the whole thing and turning around and pulling, the jumper. What do you do? Next time you go and play basketball, you get that ball and you do exactly what he did, So other than those periods of time where I would get excited about stretching because of Novak Djokovic, I never cared about it. I don't know why. I've spoken about it for so many years, the importance of it. I see Klokov, stretching. He's like a freaking gymnast. And still, I placed that sucker so low on my priorities, list of priorities, that it's like, might as well not even be there. It's not even part of the list. Now, going to like 5 days of basically not training, not pushing my body at all. I'm sitting there, I'm like, what could I be doing? Started stretching today. Stretching. I'm stiff as it is, and I'm stretching, and it's sore and whatever. I'm like, man, if I stretched all of this time that I've been doing this journey, and even before, where would I have been? Where would I have gotten? Some of the questions that always plague our minds, this comparison, like, what if I did this, where would I be? Stretching is one of those things to me that I'm always thinking about it, and I'm always worrying about it, that I'm not doing it, but I never actually do it. I see these Olympic weightlifters warm up in these training halls, and I'm like, damn, that is one athlete, man. This is not just some guy that squats, clean jerks. This is an athlete. This person does lots of work away from the barbell. Maybe that's what separates, hobbyists like me and professionals, is that do all the other stuff. The stuff that's not cool. But then, is it cool? So I grew up. Oh my God, look at my hair, bed hair. We all love Rob Van Dam. Bah, Van Dam, this way, that way, kick. Do you remember that commercial when he was like doing the splits in between two semi-trailers? I don't know if that thing even was real or whatever, but it looked sick. The guy can do splits on chairs, and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I remember seeing Jujimufu years ago when I was occasionally searching for, stretching routines or doing some sort of research on how to get this or that or whatever. I've spoken about trying to get splits many times on the channel. And I think what turns me away every time is because I feel like the more I stretch, the weaker I get. But it's the one thing out of all the physical attributes that we can train, it's the one thing that you can get to an elite level without drugs. Think about it. So what physical attributes are we concerned with when we're dealing with the barbell or strength in general? What are they? Well, there's strength, there's speed, and then there's the combination of those two things, power. And then you got flexibility, mobility. Then obviously there is skill associated with the sport that you're dealing with. If it's, powerlifting, maybe a lot less skill than something like Olympic weightlifting. But skill is maybe another physical attribute. I don't know if that's even a physical attribute, but the big one, the father of them all, or the mother of them all, whichever way you want to freaking use the term. Strength is the king of all of them, and then you have like speed, power, like all these other ones. Drugs help you with all of them, and basically are absolutely required for you to become the best, but not flexibility, man. You don't need steroids. You don't need these drugs to do splits. That's kind of cool to me, man. I made that connection just today, and I'm like, man, that is really, really cool to me. You can't buy it like you can't buy strength. So when somebody sees you doing a split, what does that represent? It represents thousands of hours of stretching. That's really cool. And I kind of want the things that money can't buy. That kind of attracts me to it. All the good qualities in life, to me, you get without money. I don't know, maybe this is the final piece of motivation, final thought that I need to actually get serious about stretching. I've spent a whole day stretching today, and I've come to the barbell, and dare I say, I had my mobility. It's interesting. Anyway, let me get a set. So anyway, I'm not going to promise you anything because I don't want it to be like that. But I'm feeling quite inspired right now to do some stretching and to have a goal. So the squat and deadlift has been 300 kilos. Years after that, I realized it was a almost foolish goal to have because it's such an elite number to do it the way I want to do it. So maybe the following line is going to be also as foolish as the 300, but my goal, I'm going to say it now, and some of you guys that maybe have tried, have done a lot of stretching might call me a fool, but my goal is to do the middle splits. Why the middle splits? I think it's the coolest of all mobility, and I think it addresses something that I have, which is a big problem, and that's tight adductors, difficulty with wide stances. And so if I aim for such a huge goal to do middle splits, it might help me with my squat, my hip mobility. So anyway, I'm going to show you guys where I'm at right now. Let me put this camera up here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but this is where I'm at right now. Oh, this is probably not the best way to do it. So this is me right now. I feel like I'm gonna snap. This is me. And even just doing this, I feel humongous anterior pelvic tilt. So this is me right now. And where I need to be is horizontal, right? That's where my legs should be, but they are here, at this angle. Long way to go, but this is where I'm at. So let this be a bit of a beginning of a journey, I suppose, a little bit of a, I don't know, marker. But I think I've got the right mentality for it right now. It's probably the best chance to do something at an elite level without abusing PEDs, if you think about it. I mean, you let me know if I'm wrong. I could be wrong because I'm a complete rookie when it comes to mobility and stretching and all of that. But it seems to me that anybody can get to elite level flexibility. Obviously, if you're starting at a 30-plus-year-old level, it's going to be a lot more difficult than if you're 3 years old. Maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe my hips are sealed and the muscles and the ligaments are at a length which they're going to stay for the rest of my life. But let's see. And maybe there's some noob gains here to discover as well. And maybe that's all I need to improve the squat. But I think the middle split is something that's really cool, to sit on 2 chairs, you know, like one leg here, one leg there, and do that. I think that'll be really cool. You know, today I've been stretching with my kids, and I think having that type of exposure in the house with somebody that's stretching as well is beneficial for them as well, because if I stayed supple as I was growing up, I would have benefited from that right now. And I think we all can do relative, let's say, splits at the start of our lives, but the chairs, the 90-degree death, as I call it, throughout our life, takes that away from us. And then we can't squat, we can't deadlift, we can't freaking do anything. And yeah, I feel like there's many different facets of benefits that I'm kind of sensing. And I reckon I've got the right mentality for it right now. This is one attribute that I can max out without the use of PEDs. It doesn't matter if you're on PEDs or not. We're on the same level when it comes to mobility. I like the sound of that. Appreciate you guys. Thank you everyone for the support. It really means a lot. Appreciate it. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.